Yeah.
How to upgrade an ARES MSR or MCM700X. In this video I will show you how to do it with the MCM700. The MSR is identical internally, only the main breakdown is different. If you wanna see how it's done, check out my MSR Disassembly video. Link is in the video description. For this build I'm using a NOVRITSCH MCM700X tuning kit. It gets shipped in those two pipes to ensure that the cylinder parts and especially the precision barrel don't get damaged or bent during transport. Inside the long tube is the 601 precision barrel. In the short tube are the parts for the cylinder and trigger assembly. So the kit contains the most important parts to get the power and accuracy you know from my videos. First, make sure the gun isn't cocked. Put it to safe and remove the mag. The upgrading process starts with separating the stock from the receiver barrel assembly by loosening the two main screws from the trigger guard. The front sling seal also acts as a main screw, so you have to unscrew it to take the gun apart. The barrel receiver assembly is exactly the same as on the ARES MSR, so this guide will work for the MSR too. Now we have to unmount the loading pipe. Make sure to not lose this tiny spring. Next step is separating the receiver from the barrel. Therefore, I unscrew the two screws on the receiver. We can finally separate the receiver from the outer barrel. You can unscrew the cylinder head by either using pliers or an Allen key. Take out the cylinder inserts. Those are too weak to handle upgrade springs, so you don't need them anymore. To unmount the trigger unit, pull out the spring guide stopper to get access to one of the two main screws. The screw in the middle is kinda hidden. You can get it out with a Phillips screwdriver. Let's disassemble the trigger unit. This trigger unit is very tricky to upgrade. I recommend watching this part twice before taking yours apart. When opening the trigger shells, be careful to not lose any of the parts inside. I recommend taking a picture of the assembly from several angles before taking it apart. When removing the piston seal, remember how the springs were installed. Even if those two springs look very similar, they are not. And if you accidentally swap them out, your gun will not work anymore. Install the springs together with the new reinforced piston seal like shown. This part is not as easy as it might look. Take your time and be patient. Now it's time to swap out the spring guide stopper to the tool steel one. Close the trigger shell and make sure that every part is in the right place. The process of getting the second piston seal spring into place is kinda tricky and needs a lot of patience to get it right. Congratulations if you made it. Now we can finally screw the trigger unit back together. Before mounting it onto the gun, check if it works properly. While pressing the plastic magazine safety on the left and the trigger, the piston seal should move free in both directions. If you don't pull the trigger, the seal should be able to move backwards, but not forward. The trigger unit is finished. Let's head on to the cylinder. The stock cylinder assembly is made of very weak materials, so it has to be replaced. By installing just a harder spring, pretty much all parts of the stock cylinder will break immediately. So we swap out every part that has to handle the force and impact of the stronger spring. Therefore, you have to remove the bolt from the back of the cylinder, then assemble it onto the stainless steel upgrade cylinder. Test if it clicks into place before inserting it with the slot facing down into the receiver. You can mount the trigger unit back on. Start by tightening the screw in the middle, then insert the spring guide stopper. While doing this, make sure the cylinder is inserted with the slot pointing down, so that the spring guide stopper hole of the receiver and the cylinder slot are aligned. Before inserting the cylinder parts, lube up the cylinder and the piston head with some silicone lube. Then screw in the cylinder head and do a compression test. Seal the nozzle with your finger and pull the trigger. The piston must stop in the cylinder before hitting the cylinder head as long as you have your finger on the nozzle. The power upgrade is finished. Now let's head on to improving the precision of the gun. After loosening this screw, the hop-up chamber should slide out of the outer barrel. Unscrew those 4 screws to take the hop-up chamber apart. Remove the barrel spacers from the stock barrel. We need those for the precision barrel. They are glued into place, so you will need some force to get them off. The hop-up rubber should be exchanged. The stock one is not good. It's VSA 10 standard, so there are plenty of upgrade hop-up rubbers available on the market. To increase the seal of the gun, install the leak stopper ring. If you are having a hard time getting the ring into place, use some silicone for lubrication. Let's assemble the hop-up chamber back together. If you're having problems doing so, pressing down the plastic feeding part with a screwdriver helps a lot. The precision upgrade is done. You can now assemble your gun back together. Make sure that the feeding hole of the outer barrel and the hop-up chamber are aligned before screwing them back together. Before securing the position of the outer barrel, make sure that it is aligned with the receiver. Otherwise, you will have some kind of weird side hop. When putting back the loading ramp, don't forget about the tiny spring. Your gun is finished now, so go out in the field and shoot some noobs in the head.
Okay, ich höre was außen.
Es geht vielleicht gut, dass es nur außerbringst von Rot. Das ist gerade besser.